Hi, I'm Junior Tebow. I've come to you to talk about a disease that a lot of people may not be aware of. It's called gastroparesis. I am one of the many sufferers of gastroparesis. I think a lot of gastroparesis sufferers are overlooked. Um, I think in the last few years, I think people have brought more attention to it. I want to give you a little backstory on me. I was diagnosed in 2020 with gastroparesis. Gastroparesis is, there's two forms of it. There's diabetic version and there's also a idiopathic version, which means they don't know how it happened. Diabetic, you may have injured a nerve or something to do with that. That's very possible. A lot of the symptoms that you will see, let's go ahead and look right here. I have had a lot of these bouts here. So let's go through. You're going to get a lot of nausea to the point where it is very, very bad. I mean, the nausea, if you feel like it will never go away, but there's certain things your doctor can help you with. I have not found anything that helps it. But, that's just me. And you'll learn through your journey, if you ever get gastroparesis, you will learn that gastroparesis is very much a customizable disease. It will adapt. We also got bloating, which is very common with gastroparesis, where you can take a couple bites of food and you feel full, or you start to expand in your midsection. I found that you can actually bloat and you can actually lose a lot of weight with gastroparesis, with my experience with it. You also can have a sense of almost not wanting to eat, almost a sense of you're already full after a couple of bites of food. That is actually very true. I know I've experienced that quite a bit. Heartburn, yes, you will, because your food is staying in your stomach. As of myself, I can tell you, I only absorb 25% or less than 20% of everything that I take in. That would be medicine, that would be food, that would be water, that would be a lot of things. So food staying in the stomach for long periods of time is an issue. Can cause a lot of pain, which is actually brings us to the abdominal pain. You get a lot of stomach pains around the belly button. You also get pain under the rib cage, which feels like somebody's pulling your ribs outward. And you also get a lot of vomiting spells. A vomiting spell can be very, very, like I am just coming off of one. And I'm still sore, even it's been 3 or 4 days ago. Your body takes a very soreness way of trying to recover from a gastroparesis flare, which you will have from time to time. Some have them. I have them a lot, to a point where some people have to have medical intervention, where you have to have an IV put, or you need to have nourishment put in. Is gastroparesis curable? No, it is not. Not as of me recording this now. And there are some treatments for it, but some of them with gastroparesis, as I said, you'll find will adapt. Also, with this, you will find that this is actually very, very true about the blood sugars. You will have a hard time controlling your blood sugars. Especially if you have not eaten, like let's say I haven't eaten since, well, I've eaten a little bit, not like I was, but my blood sugars will always be high, like in the 300s. I can drink as much water as I want, still won't happen. Some medicines will not work. But we also got the weight loss issue, where if your gastroparesis flare has been very, very long standing, because I've had one that lasted up to 2 weeks. That's just me, like I said. And the vomiting is very, very violent. And I mean violent where it feels like your whole insides are being pulled. This last one I had, which was kind of kind of a new sensation, it felt like a lightning bolt was going through my whole body. Now, the reason why I say that this is an issue is because of the weight loss. Also, you got to keep an eye on the weight loss. You don't want to lose too much pounds because you have to try to keep at least some weight on you. Um, I also remember that there's a lot of, stigma that, gastroparesis is just a stomach ache. It is not just a stomach ache. By all means, it is not just a stomach ache. It is something that can take what you can dish out, or what you can take what it can dish out, and it will give you a lot more. It can be very violent. It can be the vomiting is very violent, to where, you have to kind of catch your breath a little bit. Like I said, all this stuff is coming from my experiences. Your experience with gastroparesis may be similar or it may be different. You're always to consult with a doctor. And some doctor, if you feel like your doctor is not being like sincere, or feel like your doctor is being you're listening to by your doctors, I mean, keep going till you find one, because I found one that is very, knowledgeable. He told me that there is no cure for this. And it doesn't look like there's going to be a cure for this anytime soon, sadly. We just deal with the symptoms as they come along. I've always thought of gastroparesis as a very much a storm that is coming. You have to see the storm coming. You can either stand out in the rain or you can take shelter and try to make that storm not as bad as it usually is. Is gastroparesis a very, very bad thing to deal with? Yes, of course. But I've learned over time, and there's times where you feel like nothing is working. There's times where it takes a toll on your body, the vomiting part, especially if you're in a flare. Your body feels like it's been in a fight. You feel very bruised up. You feel like anything that you take, is just not working. Especially if you're in a bad flare where no food is staying down and a lot of fluids are not staying in. I've been there, and it's not easy, but it's doable, because you got to take every day, because every day is different. You may be fine one day, or what you think is fine. The very next day, or very much that afternoon and the same day, you can experience something totally different. But you always got to remember, you got to try to stay positive, and I know how hard that is, but it's not undoable. Eventually, if we keep telling people about gastroparesis and we keep talking about this, that's a lot of the stigma. Nobody talks about this. They just pass it off as a stomach ache or a problem. But the thing is, you have an injury to your vagus nerve. And the vagus nerve is the second largest nerve in your whole body. So when people say gastroparesis, they just think, well, stomach. Well, you can have it in your colon. You can have it basically up here by your ear. You will have bouts of dehydration. You will have bouts of severe dehydration at times. Some people have to be put on feeding tubes just to maintain their weight. But hopefully I have not been to that. It's been on the table a couple times, but I haven't crossed that one yet. Is it painful, gastroparesis? The effects of gastroparesis is kind of painful a little bit. From my perspective, like I said, the vomiting, because you're using muscles that you don't normally use. And that's very painful at times, because it takes you I know it takes me almost 4 or 5 days just to try to get around walking again. Not that I can't walk, but I mean like without like being beat up or like whatever, all that other stuff. So if you wonder what gastroparesis is, I will do more videos on it in the future. If you want to, give me a thumbs up in here. But I am Junior Tebow. I have gastroparesis, and not every day is good. But you know what? Every day is an adventure, and it's a day it's a day you thought you couldn't get through, but look at you existing and everything. I'll see you guys on the next video. Junior Tebow, out.